So this is the battery test of the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra in 2023. Yes, 1.5 years later. But before everything, here are a few things you should know. The battery health is actually 100% on this device. It's a new phone. Always-on display is set to tap to show. There is no power saving mode on, which actually throttles the CPU performance if you have turned it on. The adaptive 1 to 120Hz refresh rate is also on in this device with Full HD Plus default resolution. The phone is also constantly connected to Wi-Fi but not on cellular, and the phone is usually at 30 to 40% brightness in the whole test, but with adaptive brightness on, which I will also explain in the later part of this video. And all the unnecessary applications are in deep sleep, but other apps that I use every day are working as usual. So that's it. So that's all you should know. After all that, at 6:22 PM, it's already at 83%. I haven't used the phone that much though, but I have still used it quite a lot. A little bit of shopping, a little bit of YouTube video. With a total screen on time in this video of about 1 hour 4 minutes. Even though if you look at 3:13 to 4:45 PM, I wasn't using the phone. At 3:13 it was at 98% and at 4:45 it was at 97%. So yeah, that's another thing to note. Now keep this in mind, the phone was also trying to learn the usage pattern at this time. So it is a new phone, so you see what I'm trying to say here. Also, I'm using it as a far more higher brightness than I needed, which in this phone is at 8 to 15%, but I'm using it at 30 to 40% brightness. Next, at exact 9 PM, it's at 79% with a screen on time of only 5 minutes because I haven't used the phone at all in this time. Only casual notifications I've checked on the notifications and that's it. That's totally it. After a good long time at 106, it's at 54%. This time though, I have used the phone for like 2 hours or 16 minutes in total. Mostly that's for YouTube watching. And now it's time for a good sleep. Now after waking up at 8:11 AM, it's at 48% battery. Now this whole time it has probably had a few notifications and that's it. No screen on time, nothing. I haven't used the phone at all. It clearly shows 6% drop in about 7 hours. Which for this phone after a week of usage, because by the time you're watching this, I probably used the phone for like a month, I have seen drops of 3 to 5% every single day. Not more than that, not less than that. And it actually clearly shows the inefficiency of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chip made by Samsung Foundry. But I'm totally fine with that. Now at 11:35 AM though, it's at 29% with a screen on time of 58 minutes. Mostly a little bit of camera and YouTube usage and a few other things. But the brightness was actually a lot higher this time. Max brightness when I was using the cameras because I was shooting something outdoors. So it is kind of understandable, okay? Because the high brightness means it will consume a lot more battery. Simple as that. At 1:24 PM though, it's at 10%. Now that's the time I have actually played a lot of games and a little bit of YouTube music at the same time while I was playing the game, with a screen on time of 1 hour and 3 minutes for this time period. And the brightest was usual 35%, not more than that, not less than that. And the power saving mode is still not on this device, and it's still working with the adaptive refresh rate on. At 2:26 PM though, it's at 3%, barely alive, with about only 5 minutes of screen on time. So the 10% to the 3% drop was a little bit faster than you think. Now you can also see the brightness is down by a lot automatically. Now another thing to keep in mind the whole time is that the whole theme applied on this phone has green color in it, even in the dark mode. So the pixels are not off at any given point of screen on time. Now I'm going to play a YouTube video at about medium brightness, and at 2:29 PM you can see it's at 1% and at 2:30 it's dead. That's it. So the total screen on time that Samsung is showing is about 5 hours 54 minutes, which if you consider it as an estimate time, it's still a good time. If you look at the numbers of current phones, it might make it look real bad, but after using it for well over a month at this time, at the time of the release of this video, I can confidently say that it provides a very dependable battery life, if not as good as my iPhone 15 Plus, which actually offers the best battery life on any flagship smartphone right now. This is not really bad though. Now another thing to keep in mind is that the battery temperature usually hovers around the 35-39 degrees centigrade, except when it goes to max brightness under direct sunlight with video or camera usage, it has reached to a whopping 45.2 degrees centigrade. That is a lot. It's really hot. But then it also throttles the brightness. But that's the problem of Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 and also a little bit of the software. But I found out few more things, like you don't exactly need to have the power saving mode on because that doesn't do anything. And you don't even need to turn off the high refresh rate. You actually should use it because it's a feature of the phone. Why not to use it? Turning it off actually doesn't do that much of battery life increase either. So why not? And I use the phone at 1440p resolution, means the highest possible, with battery charging capped at 85% and with 1 to 120Hz refresh rate on because I just want it. And one interesting thing I have found out is that the adaptive brightness is actually really bad on this device. More specifically, when you're going outside with this feature turned on, it pushes the phone to the max 1750 nits of peak brightness. And that is not a bad thing. And you know that will cause insane battery drain, plus it will up the temperature of the phone. And yeah, it does that. But the problem is, it doesn't want to go down at all. If you want to do it manually, it will forcefully put it at 1750 nits, which actually in turn throttles the brightness to 50% of the manual brightness. That means it makes it almost unusable outside. You can't really see anything. So what's the real point? This brightness temperature thing is understandable because even my iPhone 15 Plus with all that efficiency thing, it also goes real warm. But at least I can still override the brightness slider to lower it down a bit, so it just stays much more cooler after that. And I also found out that the brightness slider actually works a little differently in this phone. It is not as linear of a slider as you think. 8 to 15% brightness in most conditions is fairly bright on this phone. Except when I go out, I use it at like 60 to 75% brightness. It still keeps the phone much more cooler. So in conclusion, I would say with the brightness under my control, the battery lasts a bit longer. But still, don't expect it to last 8 hours plus or something like that. No, hell no. With heavy usage, it will probably last 6.5 hours max. And with all those things turned on, it provides me still a very dependable battery life. Right beside my iPhone 15 Plus with the One UI 5.1 software. So definitely, it's not as bad as it used to be or as many might say it is. And yes, if you feel like you need some really cool wallpapers for your devices, whether it's a tablet or a smartphone or even a laptop, well, I have some crazy cool 8K wallpapers, stunning designs, and amazing colors. Visit my website, joindavid.com, link down below. And until the next one, bye and take care.